Have you ever felt like your body is where you are right now, but your mind is somewhere else? Everything else about you, except for who you physically are, is somewhere else. Maybe you've witnessed the same thing with another person. Maybe you were talking to them, but you felt like they weren't really present at all. And then maybe one step further, even, you talk to them and it feels like they're responding to something that isn't even there. There's irrational fear, there's irrational, any strong emotion, rage, jealousy, maybe even love, who knows. All of that, even though there is nothing in your current environment that produces this, that would make sense. Well, in this video, we're going to explore this phenomenon. Very interesting one. So stay tuned. Hi, I'm Sven, a holistic performance psychologist with the mission of empowering you with the knowledge and tools necessary to consistently achieve your goals. And I love that you're taking time today to explore time traveling and trauma with me, and everything in between. So this is a very vast topic I just opened, but I want to start with the basics and then we can continue and hopefully it will all make sense why I took these two words, time traveling and trauma, and I put them into this video. So, how do we perceive things? Because that's where it all starts, right? Either you in your own body and you're looking outwards and you're reacting to something apparently that isn't really there. You're in another time, in another place. At least your body is, your mind maybe isn't. Or maybe it's the other way around and your mind is in this place currently. Your body is in this place currently right now and you feel everything that makes sense, but your thoughts are somewhere else, right? Both of these work. How can we explain this? Let's start here. So, the way we perceive things is where it connects. And we don't perceive things in a linear, simple way. It's not like I'm seeing this camera, I'm seeing this window, and that's all. Light hits these little particles and then into my eyes and then from there into my brain, and my brain knows, okay, look, this is a window pane particle. Doesn't happen. Instead, there's interpretation happening. There are effects based on neural activation in our brain at this given moment. Example, you're walking at night through a forest and you see movement, the corner of your eye. You turn around and you see a couple pieces of light, a couple particles of light. Your immediate thought is, oh, that's an animal. That's something. That's not nice. Your immediate thought is not, well, obviously, that's a piece of aluminium foil that reflects the light from a lantern in a nearby village. It's not your immediate thought. So, what we perceive is massively governed and influenced by what we think. That's interaction. Now, with that in mind, we can already explain part of this phenomenon. Because if you're right now in a room, but you're reacting to something that is in the past, that's exactly what's happening. Someone says something, and instead of you perceiving what they're saying, what's actually happening is you're perceiving something that has happened in the past. So your memories, your thoughts, everything that you're thinking, your neural activation, influences what you are perceiving. So in a way, your body can time travel. Your mind can time travel. Because even though you are in this room, your mind actually isn't. Something has happened that has activated a neural network that doesn't belong to the present moment. It belongs to the past. Okay, sounds weird, but I hope that makes sense. What do you do with that? Well, the very first thing that as a psychologist is very dear to me is empathy, understanding. When you see someone react to something that seems very disconnected from what is currently happening in this environment, something you might have said, and they overreact massively, there's two things you should know. The first one, it's not about you. Don't think it's about you. Don't think that you said something wrong necessarily. It may be the case that you said something wrong, but if it seems completely over the top, likely it's not because of you. Right? You triggered this time jump, but it's not about you. And the second one is exactly that. It's the time jump. Time traveling. They just traveled backwards in time. And their entire body, physiology, and their mind are now at a different place. So, again, this can be understood, okay, it's not about me, I didn't do anything wrong. But it could also be understood, look, don't reason with them, don't talk to them in a way that makes sense in the current environment. If you tell them, look, but you're here in the office, what are you talking about? Nothing is happening, that doesn't help them. It doesn't help at all. Because their mind and their body are not in the office. It doesn't matter to them. So the very first thing in this situation is to make sure that they can re-enter the current place and the current time. You could try a pattern interrupt. You could give them some space to get outside, calm down. Some deep breathing can help. Meditation can help. Any strong stimulus can help. A video can help. All of those things. I'll get into a little trick in just a little bit here as well. First, you have the situation, and it's important to understand, don't expect them to behave in a way that matches the current environment, because the environment is different. Now, how do we get to a point where our minds time travel? How does that work? Well, in a way, stick with the cool metaphors, we can create wormholes that travel backwards time, or our mind can automatically create those wormholes. Now, all of this again is based in survival. So in the past, if you got attacked and everything you remember was a flash of yellow, maybe a lion, and then some teeth, something that was more reflective towards the sun, that is very important information to you. And the moment that happens again, you need to run. You need to be aware and you need to get out. So that's important information that's stored. And that is now, because it was so important, it has now become a wormhole. The moment your body detects anything remotely similar, it puts you back in that situation to activate adrenaline, fight or flight, all sorts of things that are important for you to be prepared and run, right? Muscles get ready. You don't think, you just act. Thinking mind off. So, you got this wormhole because it was very important. And the wormhole protects you. Alright. We can also have this in a less drastic situation, in our current days, and that is trauma. Here is where we go to the second part, which is trauma, time traveling and trauma. Now, with trauma, you also live through something that your body is convinced was a very terrible experience, very dangerous experience. So it's the exact same thing. It's also trying to protect you. So in the sense of maybe needles, some people have trauma of needles or bees, whatever. You have some experience where you were confronted with this thing. Your body reacted, maybe due to other reasons, but your body reacted very, very strongly. And that is taken as an indicator to mean, okay, that was dangerous. Example, you go to the doctor and you generally feel terrible, and then you're not really sure what's happening. You're still young, and the doctor takes out the needle and pokes you, and there's pain. It feels overwhelming, and your body just short circuits, and you collapse. Maybe you faint, and then you wake up and you feel miserable, and your body connects something, tries to avoid the situation. How can we avoid this? Well, where's the stimulus that we can attach to? The needle. The needle was what caused all of this. That's not true. Most of what causes is before you were stressed, you were feeling ill, all of those things. The needle was just the little piece that brought the whole thing to explode. But your body connects those two. So the next time you see a needle, your body tries to warn you, puts you back in that situation. You start to feel ill, you start to feel afraid, all of those things. And all of that to protect you from that needle. To tell you, look, don't go there, don't do it, this is terrible, remember what happened last time. Okay, so this is how we build those wormholes. We need a strong association, a strong connection to either something negative or, and here comes the cool part, something positive. And we all have also lived through that with music, most of us at least. Most of us have some form of song or melody that really evokes a strong feeling inside of us. Maybe even a strong mental state. That is also time traveling. That's also a wormhole. Because when we first listened to that song or that melody, something so profound happened that this connection happened, this association happened. And now that we listen to it again, this little piece, this stimulus, this trigger, produces this whole neural activation. Everything that belongs to this stimulus, how we feel, what we think, emotions, right? It's not just bodily feelings, warmth, but also emotions, joy, for example, excitement. And that is something we can create as well. And here's the key takeaway, apart from empathy and people being not really in the current situation, but rather somewhere else. So if you want to use this, if you want to create a wormhole, there's really only two pieces you need to know. The first one is, what kind of state do you want to travel to? Get in that state. Figure out how to get in that state. And the second one is, you have to create a strong association. Now, a strong association usually is either something where you're extremely afraid of or where you're extremely joyous, where everything just seems to overflow. And you connect it to something. Maybe a song, maybe a specific movement, maybe a word, maybe a visual, a smell also works really well. So that's really your two components. You have, on the one hand, what you want to feel, the state, and then on the other hand, you have or where you want to travel to, and then on the other hand, you have the trigger, what is supposed to bring you there, the wormhole, the entry of the wormhole. So for me, I realized this when I was doing a whole lot of hiking, 100 kilometers. And by the end of it, I was in a very interesting emotional state, and physical as well. Physical states can also work. But at the end, when I did it, I felt really relieved. There was joy, there was pride, a whole bunch of interesting emotions, a whole interesting cocktail. And I listened to a song right before I finished, where all of these emotions already came up. And I didn't even do that on purpose. Nowadays, I do it on purpose. But that's exactly the situation that you need. You need, again, the emotions, the state, and then you need the trigger, the song. And nowadays, if I listen to that song, I time travel. So, if you also want to time travel, do figure out where you want to travel to, and then create your wormhole. Happy traveling.